Now what I want to do is create a grouping of those tulips that we had, like this, remember? We're going to do it like right around here. And I'm going to use the pink again. Okay, so let's see. I want stems to kind of come here. So I'm going to do the grouping about here. So here we start. And like just keep loading your brush to get the grouping you want. Another one here. Maybe one like that there. And then one right here. And I want these leaves or stems also to be yellow. So while it's still wet, I'm going to go in with my yellow and kind of pull my stems down. I like the little base to have that little bleed of yellow into the pink. And then just really thin little leaves. Just super thin, kind of just like lines that are curved with a slight volume, but barely. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is create another orange one over here. And then once we do that and create our greenery, we're going to start kind of filling around and upwards to like even out the space a little bit. Okay. Actually, let's just do coral. I'm just going to do coral because I want to. So I'm going to just use my small brush, lighten up the coral so it's not super dark. So add more water. And I'm going to create a flower right here. And it's going to be just, which one? It's going to be more of like more larger petals that we were working on. I just don't know where that practice sheet went. It's somewhere. Oh, here it is. So it'll be more like this here. Okay. So just keep loading your brush as you need to. Mixing in water so that you get nice contrast. And like kind of layering the petals if you want more of that textured look on the edge of the petal. Okay. Now what I want to do is go in with my pink, or what did I use last time? Let's do actually purple. Purple pink mixture. That was really pretty. And just line that inner circle and let it pull it out. Kind of let it bleed. And yeah, really love that. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use the green straight from the palette. Okay. And I'm going to have it, the stem come curve in like that. Now, loading my brush up, I'm going to create some longer leaves. Okay. Wispier, like kind of coming out like that. And we'll have one here to kind of fill the space that's like a little bit bigger. Adding more water to this one. Adding there. And I'm going to add a little bit over here, kind of just to fill a gap a little bit. Okay. So at this point, I'm noticing, okay, well, this is too gapped for me right here, and I don't like it. So I'm going to go back in with a little more coral. It's like a little bit lighter, and try to just fill it in a little. Much better. There too. And we're doing it lighter like that. You're creating like a layering of like petals, which is really cool too. Okay, now what I want to do is work upward, and we're going to do the fold over petal. So we're going to work with doing something like this at the top. So I'm going to grab blue with my small brush. I'm going to do a grouping of 3. Let's do it about here. 1. 2. And these petals are going to layer into each other a little bit, which is okay when they're folding. And then let's do one here. 3. Okay. For the color, I'm going to just do my pink. Okay, so I'm going to lighten it up a little. And just start creating my petals. So this one I'm going to make a little bit bigger. Okay. Maybe add a little contrast. So I'm going to go in with more pink towards the base. Let it bleed a little bit. Okay. Load my brush. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe 5, like that. And again, add a little more contrast towards the base where it's hitting the blue. Load my brush up, and we'll do 2, 3. If we wanted to also some blue to go into it, so like add a little bit of blue to your brush, kind of pull it down more into that pink that's still wet. If you wanted to add blue into that. And like, for example, I don't like this line so long, so I'm going to close some of it off. Just like that. Okay. Okay. And I actually want to create another petal right there, just because it is like a longer top. So I'm just going to create a petal like that. You could make these again darker if you wanted. That's totally up to you. So like something like this. Or you maybe can do it like where there's some dark, some light to get that contrast. Okay, so let's do some blue-green stems. Adding a little blue to this one. Lightening it up. I normally don't mix on my paper, but I do when I teach, so you guys can see how I'm mixing like a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to go and create my stem. My stems are kind of floating like I was teaching you before because I don't want them to close off any space and create kind of a weird connection between another petal or flower that may be like in front or behind it. So you kind of just want to be aware of that. Once you add greenery though, it pulls everything together. I'm going to add a little more depth at the bottom here, so just less water, so there's a more contrast. And right here, I want to do that purple kind of lavender thing that we made tower. So I'm going to load my small brush up with some of the lilac, and we're going to create our little tower. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Load our brush, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to add a little bit of that darkness into the area that's still wet, or sorry, deep purple. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Kind of pulling my way down and filling that space. If you wanted to also, you could actually mix in a little blue over the top to create more contrast. You don't have to. You can just leave it purple if you like that. Look at how filling it looks. It looks so good, you guys. Okay. So I think what we want to do now is kind of even out the bottom here a little bit, because it looks like it's going up a little. So I want to create a little bit of grass or greenery at the bottom. So I'm going to use my yellow-green mixture. A little yellow, a little bit of green, lighten it up, and we're going to fill some of these areas with like the lighter green color to kind of even out the bottom. And then I'm going to go in with the light blue, just really watered down, and create kind of that shadow that we did before when I was teaching you. So just kind of a wash of blue. And then we can do like a blue vine that's super light, just to add more texture to the end if we want, you know. Super pretty. And then we can do that on the other side. So first, actually, I'm going to take my blue again with my large brush, and we're actually going to create a darker leaf stem. Okay. And I'm just going to create just like a vine, simple vine, like that. Make them a little rounder if you want it. Now just lightening it up by adding water. Go in and create just like this backsplash of like light blue around it, like that. And if you want it even lighter, we could add more water, or if you want more of a gradual light factor, then just pat it out a little with your paper towel. And don't worry if you're hitting that fern, it's so light that it's fine. It'll just add another layering to it. Okay. So I find that like maybe we'll add something here because it looks like it needs just something right there, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is take my purple with my small brush, just my lilac, and we're going to create another couple flowers like this over here. So I'm going to have one that's kind of hugging this area. So it's going to be like half of the flower. And for this one, I have to work a little quicker only because I don't want it to dry before I add in my pink. Then I'm going to create my larger one here. And again, I have to do one more. Let's do it over here. Just going back and adding a little more purple to my brush so that it has a little bit more contrast of that darker purple or darker lilac. Okay, so before it dries, go back in with your pink and just line the inner circle like we did before, just so that pink can really bleed out into that purple. Okay. For this one, I'm going to use a yellow green again for the stem. So if you still have that mixed, awesome. I just have to keep remixing. And I'm just going to create a few little greenery, like leaves popping out. Because remember how this one we did like just mostly leaves coming out? It's going to be like that for this one as well. Just kind of popping out of the space. Maybe here's a small stem here. Really light, adding texture. Okay. Now what I want to do is just add, I think, one last little grouping up here. That's little buds. So we're going to take our straight pink and just create a few buds. 1, 2, 3. And so maybe I'll start with this grouping of 4, right? And I'll decide, well, I want more. So I can always go back and add more. I'm going to use my green from the palette, but really lighten, so more water. Just create your lines for your stems like that. Really light, right? Then just create some greenery, some leaves coming off and groupings. Maybe you want to make it a little darker. That's what you want. Okay. So I feel like this looks really good. Maybe, I know I'm just being particular here, but I'm going to go in with my blue and add another little fern kind of coming out here. If you see like something that's super obvious that like you'd like to fill, then use this time to kind of like do that. Okay. Yay. It looks beautiful, you guys. Okay. How'd you guys do? Did you guys have any questions? So just like look through and notice how we use a variation of all these different colors, right? We try to get colors to bleed together, kind of fill in certain gaps, but you still see white space throughout, so it looks more airy, right? So it doesn't look so compact. And also we try to use a contrast of lights and darks. That way you do have, again, that more whimsical look. We tried to go in and use different shapes. So what I mean by that is we use the more compact lines, wider brush strokes, bigger leaves, smaller, thinner leaves, these ones that like pull over, some rounder shapes. It just all this combination of different textures makes it look so much more wild and fun and whimsical. And like you could do this, you know, with a different color scheme if you wanted to just do it like more monochromatic. So it's like all different reds or all different yellows or something, you could do that as well. And so if you're trying to go for, I say like looser painting, this is a great practice for it because again, it practices your textures, your shapes, your lines, but also like it's really forgiving. And you can create something really, really pretty from it. Like I sent you guys a materials list already, so you have all that stuff. And then I'll have like a little survey and maybe to help me with my next bunch of workshops and see what I want to do next. So we'll see. Also, if you're new to the group, I do have a book. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. It's Watercolor Botanical Garden, and it's on Amazon. And it's just a mixture of cacti and plants, flowers, and we just play with a lot of colors. And you have like intro to like how to create things, and it's a really fun book. So if you haven't checked it out, please do so. Hope you guys had fun today. And thank you guys for being here. That was really the purpose, is just really have fun with it.